2026 will not tiptoe. It will arrive like a stampede. Heat, speed, choice. The Fire Horse is a year that moves first and asks questions later. Its flame clears away what's dead and pushes what's live into motion. For some, that force will mean sudden doors flung open. For others, it will be the test that reveals who can hold steady while everything else ignites. This is not a neutral forecast. It's a map of weather, winds of acceleration, bursts of purification, and gates that swing open only for those whose timing and temperament match the storm. What follows names the 6 animals most likely to find those gates aligned in 2026: rat, ox, dragon, horse, tiger, snake, and shows not only when the windows appear, but how to step through without burning the bridge behind you. Think of the Fire Horse as a current in a river. It rushes, but it runs in channels. Some channels are wide and allow a vessel to glide. Others are narrow and demand skill to navigate. This year's channels favor speeders who can also read the currents. Quick decisions anchored in preparation. Bold moves wrapped in quiet discipline. How to use what you're about to hear. Each sign block will open with a crisp headline, a tight snapshot of the domains most likely to shift, a sequence of vivid monthly vignettes that show when key pivots arrive, 3 actionable moves to match the energy, and a single precise warning, the mistake most likely to squander the year's promise. Take the timing as tendencies, not guarantees. Where you feel the pull, prepare the paperwork, check your relationships, and clear space for the unexpected. Rat. Rat. From scavenger to strategist. Sudden gates open for income streams and influence. Finance. A series of small, high-leverage opportunities appear. Not lottery tickets, but openings that compound if you reinvest them. Career. Invitations to consult, lead a project, or return to an old network arrive as if someone remembered your value at once. Love and reputation. The chatter around you amplifies. A reputation pivot could turn private networking into public credibility. Late winter's thaw finds the rat sharpening its tools. Imagine late February. You're clearing out a drawer and find an old contacts card. That card becomes a doorway. It's not glamorous, more like the smell of coffee and the hum of a commuter train. You send a short message. 2 weeks later, a meeting is scheduled. The Fire Horse favors people who can pivot from scavenging to strategizing, turn what's lying around into a plan. March brings a different rhythm, a market with a crack in its usual pattern. For the rat, this looks like a mispriced gig or a contract clause others overlook. A mid-March negotiation feels like a chess move disguised as a handshake. This is a month for shrewd offers, not for show. Small bets with clear exit plans matter more than grand declarations. April is the unexpected ally.
Perhaps an ex-colleague surfaces with a partnership pitch that on paper is awkward, but in practice unlocks new distribution. Picture an unassuming email that ends up carrying your work into a cluster of payers. The Fire Horse accelerates connections. Your task is to see which ones are bridges versus flares. Late spring brings a test, a short-lived windfall that arrives with strings. June scene is a late-night call offering a one-off consultancy, rich but exhausting. The choice is immediate. Say yes and ride the current, or decline and conserve energy. For rats who've been building reserves quietly, the right move is often acceptance with boundaries. Take the offer, but protect the margins that preserve long-term capacity. August opens a quieter, surprising window. Reputation becomes currency. A thoughtful piece of work, a published article, a well-placed recommendation, fans a current you can ride into sustained influence. This is the season where small, disciplined visibility pays out. The Fire Horse wants volume plus veracity. Show up often and show up clean. Autumn folds into consolidation. October brings a negotiation around terms rather than money. You'll be offered a role or a partnership that looks appealing in title, but vague in structure. This is the pivot. Accept and codify responsibilities clearly, or walk away. The horse's flame exposes vagueness. It rewards clarity. Late in the year, December carries a quiet payoff. A system you put in motion months earlier yields a reliable inflow. Not meteoric, but stabilizing. The rat who planned in the winter and acted in the spring now harvests a steadier pattern. The Fire Horse doesn't promise comfort. It offers acceleration to those prepared to steward the gains. How to ride the luck. 1. Prepare a fast packet. A one-page summary of your skills, 3 recent wins, and 2 clear offers you can propose in a meeting. Keep it updated and ready to send at odd hours. 2. Cultivate short, practiced responses for on-the-spot offers. What you accept, what you delegate, and what you decline. Speed without standards wastes momentum. 3. Reinvest small wins into systems. Hire a bookkeeper, set up automated follow-ups, or document processes so that a loan opportunity composes into a pattern. Warning: underestimating small legal or tax details. The temptation is to pocket quick gains without formalizing them. In 2026, loose ends become public headaches. Tighten contracts and clarify revenue sharing before saying yes. If this began to sound like your year, pause and subscribe now. You'll want to hear the full breakdown for the other signs and the exact timing for the rest of 2026. Ox. Ox, the reborn builder. Steady elevation disguised as slow-burning breakthroughs. Finance. Major assets and long-term income channels firm up. This year favors foundations and structural gains rather than flash.
Career. Promotions, ownership shares, and visible leadership roles become plausible as institutions realign under the Firehorse's combustive logic. Love and relocation. Stability becomes attractive. Moves are likely to be strategic rather than impulsive, with relocation often tied to better resources. Picture early spring. The ox is in the field before dawn, noting wind direction and choosing where to plant. March feels like a blueprinted moment. A former project resurfaces with a renewed budget. It's the kind of break that demands you have a plan ready. This is not the time to improvise structures. Bring a blueprint. The horse's heat amplifies efforts that are already methodical. In April, an administrative gate opens. An internal promotion process that often favors charisma tilts toward competence. The ox who has quietly built a portfolio of measurable outcomes finds doors opening. The scene is plain, a whiteboard covered in numbers, a manager quietly nodding. It's not dramatic, it's decisive. May rewinds to the personal ledger. Financial discussions turn from potential to principle. A term sheet arrives with language that redefines partnership. This is a month for reading the fine print and negotiating equity rather than immediate payouts. The Firehorse rewards those who see the decade beyond the quarter. By July, movement and momentum converge, a relocation or a project ramp that feels risky because it requires leaving comfort. The image here is a train at dusk, a platform with an opening, not everyone boarding, but the ox realizing this particular route leads to infrastructure and scale. It's a test of faith in slow growth. The horse's speed will make impatience easy. The ox's advantage is endurance. August introduces public recognition that follows competence. A public shout-out, a formal commendation, or a visible nomination accelerates offers. The Firehorse gives weight to established credibility. It amplifies leaders who have been consistent. For the ox, this is the year to accept visibility strategically and to use it to embed influence in formal institutions. September scene is a negotiation over resources, budgets, teams, or land. This is not the moment to bargain for ego. Negotiate for capacity. The horse's fire will test whether the ox's commitments are truly scalable. Accept only those increases in responsibility you can resource properly. Late autumn is consolidation and governance. A legal structure, a partnership agreement, or a property title that you finalize now will matter for years. The horse's acceleration will ripple. The ox's task is to make sure those ripples create foundations rather than shake the house. How to ride the luck. 1. Draft your 5-year operations map now. Realistic revenue streams, required hires, and a phased budget. When offers arrive, align them against this map.
Vet advisors and partners with focused due diligence, references, contracts, and a pilot deliverable before full commitment. Protect capacity. Say no to opportunities that demand immediate scale-up unless you have concrete plans to resource them. Warning: complacency dressed as patience. The danger is mistaking slow progress for stasis. The Firehorse will force movement. If you fail to act because you're waiting for perfect certainty, you'll watch the channels close. The ox's steadiness counterbalances the horse's urgency. It's a pairing that can turn momentum into infrastructure if the ox accepts movement without haste and the horse tolerates process. Dragon. Dragon, the inventive sovereign. The year gives you stages if you bring a structure that can hold the applause. The late autumn hinge finally arrives as a contract with weight. Imagine an office window at dusk, the skyline glittering. A single clause underlined in a draft that shifts you from artisanal prominence to institutional responsibility. It's the kind of offer that feels flattering and binding at once. Sign it hastily, and the glow becomes a burden. Negotiate it with care, and that glow becomes a lamp that guides others to your door. November's negotiation is the dragon's defining moment. You will be asked to trade freedom for platform. The Firehorse's speed will push you to accept before you've built the necessary scaffolding. But the clever dragon sees that the best bargains are those that reserve room to breathe. If a board seat or a brand partnership lands on your table, it will come with timelines and public commitments that harden fast. This month favors those who bring lawyers who speak plain language and managers who can implement without theatrical gestures. December moves the story from exposure to architecture. The dragon who has accepted a visible role must now build the team and processes to convert attention into durable advantage. The scene here is a war room made of whiteboards, timelines, and a small, fierce cohort of collaborators. If you hire the right people and lock in governance, you turn momentary spotlight into institutional light. If you hire too fast or on charm alone, you inherit someone else's instability. How to ride the luck. 1. Define 3 non-negotiables before saying yes to any public offer. Scope, timeline, and exit terms. Use these as your litmus for every invitation that promises visibility. 2. Create a rapid but thorough due diligence ritual. 2 references, a simple contract checklist, and a single operational pilot you can run for 60 to 90 days before full rollout. 3. Build a small inner circle that shields execution from hype. A trusted manager, a legal overview, and a financial rubric that translates applause into sustainable revenue. Warning: vanity as bait. The fire horse magnifies presence. It also magnifies the cost of hubris.
The easiest way to burn the dragon's ascension is to confuse applause for infrastructure, to accept the stage without assembling crew, contracts, and constraints. Fame without guardrails fractures into rumors, and once a narrative of recklessness sticks, it slows recovery. The door that opens for the dragon rewards those who trade theatrical impulse for disciplined expansion. Close the deal with your eyes open, then build the machinery that ensures the name you make this year endures beyond the headline. Horse. Horse, sovereign storm. In the fire horse's year, the horse rides its namesake wind. Movement becomes the instrument of advantage. Finance. Sudden liquidity and movement-based opportunities, contract flips, rapid partnerships, and relocation that unlocks income are more probable than slow capital accumulation. Career. Fast transitions, entrepreneurial pivots, and leadership openings emerge where motion meets clarity. A risk-timed leap can reframe your decade. Love and reputation. Relationships accelerate into decisions, cohabitation, public commitments, or separations that crystallize around mobility and shared vision. January arrives like the first gallop. For the horse, the year begins immediately with kinetic force, a meeting that demands a yes within hours, a relocation conversation that pushes you to choose a path with little time for dithering. Picture a call under fluorescent office lights. Someone says, "We need you on Tuesday." The horse that thrives in 2026 has packed its decision kit, a list of priorities, emergency logistics, and a clear sense of what to leave behind. February unfolds as a map-making month. Movement without a map becomes chaos, so February's gift is a window to sketch routes. You may be presented with multiple offers that each require travel, quick contract signings, or partnerships that hinge on proximity. The right move is to mark red lines, what you will absolutely not sacrifice for the sake of speed, and green corridors, opportunities that, if taken, accelerate everything else. March introduces the relocation ballot. A choice appears that's more than geographic. It reorders networks, proximity to clients, and daily rhythms. Envision a train station at dawn, a suitcase, an email asking if you can start sooner. This is the month when motion becomes identity. For horses whose work depends on place-based networks, moving could triple exposure. For others, it is a test of whether speed equals strategy. April brings an entrepreneurial tide. For independent horses, a rapid launch or a pivot that had been percolating moves into public view. The imagery is a pop-up storefront that turns into a regular account. The fire horse favors those who prototype fast, learn fast, and iterate with both intensity and humility. If you can accept feedback in real time and course correct, a short experimental window here will compound into a sustained stream. May's scene is a flash opportunity.
Picture a late-night message, a deadline move forward, a partner in another city offering an urgent contract. The pattern repeats. The fire horse compresses decision time into short, consequential windows. In these compressed windows, the horse's advantage is decisiveness paired with a prepped checklist, what to accept, what to push for, and how to safeguard fallback options. June tests stamina. The flurries of the spring may leave exhaustion in their wake. This month asks you to ration energy smartly. Which projects require your presence and which can be delegated or automated? The horse who conserves capacity now will be the one to sprint at the end of the summer instead of collapsing at mid-year. July feels like a public turning, a conference presentation, a leadership spotlight, or media exposure that frames you as the face of a movement. The image is a podium with a new set of followers. The consequence is responsibility. This is the month where reputation accelerates as a function of visible motion. Choose how you speak. Your voice now sets expectations that will demand follow-through. August is a double-edged crest, A breakthrough arrives, perhaps a relocation that aligns you with new markets, or an investor who wants immediate scale. The scene is an airport lounge where two emails sit with different paths: explosive growth with compressed timelines, or steadier but slower scaling that keeps control in-house. The fire horse's energy rewards audacity, but here courage must be married to contingency plans. If you can structure growth with clear exit points and staffing plans, the August window catalyzes expansion without implosion. September and October are consolidation months carved out of movement. The horse who has sprinted hard now needs to build systems to hold momentum: standard operating procedures, backup teams, and financial cushions. Think of a stable finally being upgraded: new horseshoes, reinforced fences, practical work that makes the earlier sprint durable. November tests loyalty. Partnerships formed in haste may reveal mismatched expectations. This is where legal clarity matters. Actions you took on impulse will be audited by reality. The image is a meeting with contracts in hand, where mutual commitments are either codified or dissolved. Those who plan for this reckoning by keeping clear documentation and honest conversations will convert fast movement into sustainable advantage. December carries a panorama moment. You look back and see routes you took connecting into a new map. For the horse, that map will often show a new base, a retooled business model, or a circle of collaborators who share your tempo. It's not a year of slow accumulation. It's a year of reorientation, where motion decides character.
How to ride the luck. 1. Build a go kit for fast transitions: essential documents, a short-term budget plan, a trusted local contact list, and a 2-page operational delegation sheet so you can move without breaking commitments. 2. Agree on 3 red line principles before accepting any rapid offer: financial minimums, time-bound exit options, and a staffing commitment that prevents burnout. 3. Design a 90-day consolidation plan before any sprint: who you hire, which systems you build, what financial guardrails you enact, so every rapid step can be shored up by structure. Warning: speed without scaffolding. The greatest risk for the horse in 2026 is mistaking velocity for strategy, racing ahead without the team, the contracts, or the contingency plans that turn sprints into sustainable routes. When the wind is behind you, pause long enough to add a wheel. The horse's story in 2026 is motion with a deadline. When movement is matched with discipline, the same wind that scatters the unprepared carries you to new pastures. Tiger, the warrior leader. The year hands the tiger leadership that tests nerve and character. Finance, bold strategic strikes, investments, business expansions, or large project bids have a higher probability of landing this year, especially where you lead from vision rather than from minor advantage. Career, seizing visible leadership roles is likely. The year favors those who can command attention and translate it into structure. Love and reputation, passion accelerates. Relationships might either become public alliances or dramatic pivots that require composure. February's roar comes early for the tiger. Picture a boardroom with eyes on you, a hand extended to lead a new initiative. The fire horse feeds the tiger's courage, making bold proposals land with dramatic impact. This early window suits those who can turn a vision into a plan on the spot, speak with authority, then follow with details that turn rhetoric into deliverables. March is an ethical pressure test. The offers that land this month often come with moral strings, recognition that asks for compromises, or shortcuts promising rapid reach but testing integrity. The image is a dimly lit hallway conversation where someone suggests taking an easier path that skirts a rule. The tiger's task is to weigh victory against cost. This is the month where decisions shape not just outcomes but reputation for years. April brings a coalition moment. A chance to form alliances, mergers, cross-brand collaborations, or political-style endorsements appears as a sunlit table of stakeholders. The tiger who can command the room without bulldozing the partners will find a multiplier effect, personal influence turning into institutional leverage. The fire horse loves momentum. Coalition leadership turns that momentum into scale.
A public address, a negotiation summit, a controversial choice. These are moments that amplify both fans and critics. The tiger must prepare public narratives that are both bold and nuanced. A misstep here can harden into a story of recklessness. A thoughtful, courageous move adds texture to leadership. June offers resources. Funding, endorsements, or team expansions arrive, but they come with expectations. Consider a late June fund meeting where investors want roadmaps and deliverables by quarter's end. The tiger must harness these resources into accountable plans, turning adoration into deliverable timelines and measurable outcomes. August produces a pivotal structural choice. You will be asked to institutionalize your leadership, formalize decision rights, create governance, or hand over day-to-day operations to trusted deputies. Imagine a ledger with names and titles. The tiger's instinct is to remain a central figure, but the fire horse will reward those who can delegate without losing vision. October tests humility. By now, successes can inflate ego, and the danger is to assume invincibility. The scene is a quiet dinner with an advisor who gently points out blind spots. Accepting counsel here prevents hubris from becoming a downfall. True leadership this year is not domination, it is responsibility anchored in accountability. November offers legacy opportunities, writing, teaching, or standing for formal titles. The tiger who is led with clarity will be asked to codify their approach. The chance to write a playbook, take a seat on a board, or mentor the next generation emerges. How to ride the luck. 1. Create a leadership charter. 3 core values, 2 decision makers, and a conflict resolution protocol. Distribute this charter publicly within your team to align expectations. 2. Train 1 deputy now. Give them increasingly important responsibilities so you can scale without burning out. 3. Prepare a public narrative framework. Key messages that translate your bold moves into accountable plans so momentum converts into trust. Warning: heroism without humility. The fire horse admires boldness, but punishes untempered pride. The tiger who treats followers as a crowd to be dazzled rather than a team to be served will find alliances thin when pressure rises. Tiger's arc in 2026 is leadership that must learn the grammar of stewardship. Command well. Your most durable conquest will be the loyalty you cultivate through steady, disciplined risk. Snake. Snake, the calm strategist. While the world sprints, the snake positions quietly, so that when gates open, you emerge having turned discretion into leverage. Finance. Quiet, often hidden forms of wealth appear. Royalties, equity stakes, or passive streams that become visible when structures are enacted. Career. Influence grows through advisory roles, back-channel negotiations, and strategic positioning that reframes your long game.
Love and reputation. Depth over spectacle. Relationships deepen through selective disclosure and long-term alignment. March opens a slow, methodical window for the snake. While others race, your advantage is the patient accumulation of small decisions. Imagine a study with a single lamp, a notebook, and a timeline of small investments or relationships. March gives you an insight or a quiet contact that, when activated, becomes a hinge in the year. April is an information harvest. A data point, a market pattern, or a whispered recommendation surfaces and rewards those who keep notes and follow up. The image is a ledger where one line suddenly fits into a larger pattern. The snake's task is to translate that insight into an action path that can be implemented without spectacle. June brings an advisory aperture. You will be asked to counsel someone with visibility, an invitation to advise a founder, a leader, or an institutional player. The scene is a closed-door meeting where your counsel moves decisions. Influence here is earned by clarity and the ability to convert discretion into measurable outcomes. July's image is a controlled reveal. Perhaps a small product you quietly incubated launches to a niche and suddenly draws disproportionate interest. Unlike the dragon's public blaze, your reveal is deliberate, contained, precise, and ready to scale because the technical work was done in private. August introduces strategic partnerships. Representatives slide across a table with offers that reward discretion, equity for guidance, silent partnerships, or revenue sharing that grows slowly but steadily. The fire horse favors motion, but here, motion is measured and intentional. September tests secrecy. Offers made in confidence may become public prematurely, or allies may leak conversations to test loyalty. The snake must decide what to reveal and what to keep under wraps. The image is a locked drawer. Sometimes keeping a card inside until the right moment multiplies its value. October and November are densification months for the snake. Documentation, incorporation, and quiet restructuring that turns influence into formal rights. Contracts, trust documents, and equity terms that were vague become clear. This is when patient seeds germinate into tangible holdings. December is a quiet plateau of advantage. Rewards are not always loud. They are a reliable stream, an advisory retainer, or an equity stake that begins to pay dividends. The snake ends the year with more structural power and less fanfare. How to ride the luck. 1. Keep a discrete opportunity ledger. Entries that record contacts, terms, and follow-up dates. Review it weekly and convert the top 3 entries into action every month. 2. Set legal and financial foundations quietly, formation documents, equity agreements, and a simple tax plan so that when an offer arrives, you convert it cleanly.
3. Cultivate one long-term partnership rather than many short-term favors. Depth outperforms breadth in 2026. Warning: isolation as strategy. The snake's greatest hazard is to hoard knowledge without forming the necessary alliances to activate it. Discretion is powerful only if paired with selective trust. Too much secrecy turns leverage into missed possibility. The snake's year is a lesson in quiet alchemy. Turns small, hidden elements into structural advantage by planning, paperwork, and selective revelation. Honorable mentions. Other signs are not without merit in 2026. Each experiences the fire horse's gusts differently. Briefly, the goat finds creative receptivity in late summer. The monkey benefits from opportunistic networking in short bursts. The rooster gains clarity through public structure. The dog sees service-based offers rewarded if anchored in authenticity. The pig experiences restorative windows in personal finances by autumn. The rabbit finds domestic or relational pivots that stabilize later in the year. These honorable mentions deserve a check-in, but the 6 profiles above are the ones most consistently aligned with large openings and accelerating change. Synthesis: the playbook for riding the fire horse. There are patterns that repeat across the 6 luckiest signs. Recognizing them will give you a tactical advantage even if you're not one of the named animals. First, openings arrive fast and test character. Across rat, ox, dragon, horse, tiger, and snake, offers come as compressed windows, moments that reward readiness. Second, each opening brings a test. Pride, poor paperwork, or lack of structure are the most common culprits that convert advantage into loss. Third, relationships matter more than ever. Allies and advisors convert opportunity into endurance. A practical cross-sign playbook for 2026. 1. Map the windows. Use a simple quarter-based planning sheet. Identify Q1 rapid opportunities you will say yes to, Q2 pilots you will run, Q3 consolidation items, and Q4 governance tasks. The fire horse favors short cycles. Break the year into executable sprints with rest periods. 2. Prepare a decision kit. For every major yes, have a 1-page checklist, financial thresholds, time commitment, legal basics, and delegation plans. If an opportunity doesn't clear the checklist, treat it as a maybe, not a must. This keeps speed from becoming recklessness. 3. Build emergency scaffolding. Prioritize a 3 to 6 month cash buffer, key legal documents, basic contracts, NDAs, and a trusted advisor list. Many of the most common failures this year are logistical. People accept momentum but lack the structures to hold it. 4. Practice public humility. Whether you're in the spotlight or behind the scenes, temper public statements with accountability. The fire horse amplifies narratives quickly. Clarity and modesty slow the spread of rumor and build trust. 5. Use small experiments to vet big moves. Before scaling, test with pilots that are measurable. A 60-90-day pilot with clear KPIs gives you the data to say yes or no without sacrificing speed. 6. Prioritize relational hygiene. Renew key connections, update your contact list, and schedule 3 relationship calls per month that are not transactional. In 2026, doors often open because someone remembers you. Make it easy for them to do so. Minicase, a composite of riding the wind. Meet Lena, composite, not a specific person, born under the rat but with a horse's penchant for motion and a snake's attention to detail. In January, Lena receives a surprising message from an old collaborator offering a high-leverage consultancy. She already has a fast packet ready, per the rat's playbook, so she sends a 1-page capability summary within an hour. 2 weeks later, she accepts the consultancy with a negotiated clause that protects her time and clarifies revenue split. By April, a horse-like relocation offer arrives, a 90-day contract in a new city, promising exposure to a wider client base. Lena uses her Horse Go Kit to assess logistics, short-term housing, a 90-day consolidation plan, and a delegated client contact protocol for projects she leaves behind. She goes, but only after securing a local partner who will manage on-the-ground operations. In June, a dragon-level public opportunity appears, an invitation to speak at a major event. Lena accepts but applies the dragon's discipline: 1 pilot interview, a communications manager, and predefined talking points. She avoids vanity by linking the speech to a deliverable, a follow-up webinar that converts attention into measurable leads. By autumn, a snake-like advisory role pays off quietly, an equity stake in a startup she advised for months. Because Lena had documented terms from the beginning and kept relationships in good order, what began as a small advisory grows into structural ownership that endures beyond the year. This composite demonstrates the repeating pattern. Readiness precedes opportunity, prudence turns wind into progress, relationships and paperwork convert visibility into value.
final guidance, and practical calendar prompts. If you belong to one of the 6 signs highlighted, here are short, sign-specific prompts to put on your calendar now. Rat. Update your fast packet and schedule 2 networking follow-ups each week in Q1. Reserve June for decision boundaries. Decide now what you will accept and what you will decline. Ox. Draft your 5-year operations map in Q1 and schedule a governance review in September. Identify what needs formalization. Dragon. Prepare your 3 non-negotiables before any public commitment. Schedule due diligence reviews for November. Horse. Assemble your Go Kit and designate a 90-day consolidation plan before any relocation or rapid expansion. Protect capacity in June. Tiger. Write and distribute your leadership charter by April. Train a deputy in May and again in August.
Snake. Build your opportunity ledger and set legal frameworks quietly across Q2, Q3. Convert one advisory relationship into formal terms by November. Epilogue. A scene to close with. Imagine standing on a ridge as the year unfolds. The horizon is bright with a heat that moves like a storm. Some will be pushed off their feet. Others will lean into the wind and find that their sails catch it precisely. The 6 animals named here are not promised dominion. They are given weather that favors their particular assets: speed, structure, visibility, leadership, and strategy. Your job is to match temperament to timing. Prepare, choose swiftly where needed, and protect what you build. If this felt like your year, subscribe and check the pinned comment or description for a printable checklist that lays out sign-by-sign timing prompts and a quick decision kit template you can use when an offer lands. Use it to keep speed from becoming recklessness and momentum from becoming noise. Interpretive note. These forecasts are interpretive tendencies based on symbolic patterns associated with the year of the fire horse. They describe probabilities and timing windows, not certainties. Use them as a map to prepare, document, plan, and consult trusted advisors, rather than as a script that removes the need for judgment or professional counsel. Go into 2026 with a posture of readiness. Bring paperwork, allies, and humility. The fire horse will test as much as it blesses. Prepare to ride, steward, and build what the wind offers.